Sir, we'd love to interview you at the police station. I'll pay each of you $10 million and we'll pay the department $50 million. Be quick.
Alright, sorry about them. Uh, is there any... I'm honestly surprised you're alive.
Oh my god, that's fucking perfect. What the fuck? Look where the camera goes exactly.
You're...
Yeah,
That's
I don't know. I have vague memories and just the need to like get out of there.
Chris, I don't blame you. And, I know this probably isn't a great time, but do you think you're up for trying to do an interview with the paparazzi?
I mean, now might be the best time. Might not ever remember it later.
Well, they're willing to pay us each 10 million and the department 50. So,
Uh,
up to you.
I mean, on the one hand, that sounds like bribery. On the other hand, the budget could use it.
Yeah, and your medical bills. Could probably use it.
As I said, the budget could use it,
Yeah.
given how often officers get to hurt in this state.
And especially with how extensively you're bruised up. Alright. Uh, that you want to do at the PD. Want me to take you there?
Yeah, if you can, I can barely walk.
Yeah, I can carry you. Trust.
The man of the day, the man of the year, the
alright,
man of the
begin
century.
recording, begin recording.
Beginning. Action.
How are you doing, sir?
Hmm. Been better. Been less high on painkillers.
I'm very happy to interview you, Mr. Parker. I've been waiting for this interview. I've been waiting for a quality interview like this my entire life. The story
Oh, this is a good
of
angle.
the
Oh,
missing
my name.
people and the murders in the Mount Chiliad forest. You, I hear you were there personally. Can you tell us your story?
That's a good angle.
God.
I was in the area in the time frame. Given the nature of the incident, you can understand
Okay.
that I am unable to provide super specific details about it.
Well, what if I told you that we paid the Humane Labs? They're now allowing you to speak about everything that happened there today,
Yep, good
as
angle.
of your knowledge.
A little down angle right there. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll
Now,
provide more, but
if you remember,
Ooh, that little evidence paper.
you tell me
Ooh.
anything you know.
That's a little
The
action
events
shot.
that happened last week.
well, let's
Get
see.
everyone.
It started out
Perfect
with
right there. Oh, that's perfect right there.
possible suicide at the
Nice, nice.
Mount Chiliad tunnel. And, well,
Oh, man,
Who
suspect.
that was a disturbing scene.
did you ever identify the body of the first so said suicide?
I'm not sure whether the lab ever identified the first body, although the second one was strikingly similar. And we did manage to identify that one.
Okay,
Ooh, get
and
that shot.
where was the second
Ooh,
body
nice.
found?
You packing.
Well, let's see. If
Hey,
we go
yo.
chronologically here.
Get a lot of
Alright.
angles here.
The second body was actually found in Polito.
Really?
Somebody who was nearly identical looking
That's a good angle.
died slightly different cause of death,
Good
but
Get that.
Cameraman, you can talk
Ooh.
less.
very
Oh, sorry, sir.
many similarities.
Ah.
And at first, we almost didn't connect the two. We managed to identify the second one. I don't remember now the name, though.
Yeah, that's enough shots.
I
Oh, you're gonna keep recording.
I
Okay.
will
Yeah, I
add
know, I
something.
know.
Mind if
And
I add
what
something to
followed
that?
that event? Of course.
I believe when we looked up the name, we only found like a record of his arrest and not much other information about the person. Don't even. He was apparently a
Unfortunate.
scientist. He
I'd
was
love to
apparently a
see any
scientist fire.
identities you found off these
Oh, that's
killings
nice. Yep.
or
You can
deaths.
you can talk.
Um,
We can talk about that later.
yeah,
Awesome. I'd love to do a follow-up interview as well. So, what events occurred after the first two deaths?
So after the second one, um, the individual who I and a couple other officers of prior had contact on regarding the first two mysterious deaths, uh, contacted me and let me know he was going to be checking out the tunnel because he was weirded out by it. And then in a subsequent phone call to 911, said someone should come up, and then he got cut off in a scream or something of the sort. I don't remember it exactly well, but you can pull the 911 logs if you want. At which point, myself and I think another officer responded up that way. I don't remember if it was at that
I
point
think
or
there was a
a
gentleman that
couple
was
of
with
minutes
you.
later. Yeah. And we went up to the end of the tunnel up there and discovered the individual who had contact with dead.
Weird. Did you ever find out how he was killed? Or
I
what his cause of
don't
death was?
believe I ever got the autopsy report back. Things were moving fairly quickly. It's probably available from the Red County Coroner's Office, but
And I have another question. Was San Andreas State Police the only agency involved in this?
um, initially we were the only agency after the second death, which was our contact, which occurred at the tunnel. I began coordinating with the Red County Sheriff's Office to try to set up a perimeter and prevent people from entering or approaching the tunnel. And also, sometime in there, I think it was actually after the the second body was found. I attempted to get in contact with Humane Labs and
Wait, I got
a couple of other agencies, but
a
was
personal
told
question.
that they were unaffiliated with the events occurring.
Can I ask a question?
Of course, don't. Nothing outrageous, please.
You're no, it's nothing crazy, but you're allowed to say that. You're allowed to give that information about Humane Labs.
He is. He's not really giving away any information. All right.
Oh yeah,
So,
for real.
after the third killing,
Interesting.
I know there was a few more deaths. What kind of followed up after that?
Well, so after the third one,
Bad angle. Bad angle.
we began to put up our barricades and try to prevent people from approaching the tunnel. We had not at that point to truly identified the cause of all of this, but
Reaction.
we had identified the tunnel as a common denominator, and as such, we're beginning to investigate it. A little while later, um, well, we encountered another individual who, backing up for a second, previously we had encountered the first individual who passed away, and they had been acting confused, and asking the same question over and over again, I believe. And so later, after the third killing, we encountered another individual exhibiting the same symptoms as the first. Um, and performing more or less the same actions, at which point we began to follow them. They got the assistance from another individual who we believe was uninvolved up until that point, and went up to the tunnel. Myself and I believe it was Officer James
that's what I think.
followed them up.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, by the time we arrived,
I'm getting
one of the
some
two had
info.
already passed away, and the second passed away shortly thereafter. And that was about the point when I got in contact with certain government officials and insisted on more assistance.
Awesome. Alright, and I know those killings I know was kind of a shock to the department, as now that was 4 or 5 killings, am I correct? Related
We
to the
had,
tunnel?
let's see, by that point we had 4 which were conclusively linked and another which we were pretty sure was, so 5 total. Um, no officers, no one of particular note. We didn't even have IDs on the first 2, of course. And we didn't manage to get ID on the third or the fourth or the fifth until after they were deceased.
It's unfortunate. Was there anything you could really do to prevent those killings?
Well, as I said, after the third one, once we had identified the common denominator of the tunnel, we began to attempt to block it off. Unfortunately, our blockade was unsuccessful in preventing the final 2 individuals from arriving there. Following that, members of the department, including myself and Officer James, who passed away later, worked with members of the federal government to attempt to establish a more secure perimeter around the entire area, along with, I believe, members of the Red County Sheriff's Department, although I never personally was in communication with them during the event.
And questions regarding the humane labs. What was the whole situation with them?
As I said, I got in contact with members of the federal government who deal in such things, and I believe a task force of some manner was established which began to investigate and attempt to resolve the incident going on. I am unaware of the specifics of their investigation or the results thereof, excepting in a few cases regarding the risk to the general public at the time.
Okay. And may I ask, what happened to Officer James? What was that final situation there?
Officer James and I were manning the blockade for the task force. When we came under attack, from what origin I am unsure. At which point, Officer James and myself attempted to retreat from the area, and unfortunately, we got separated. Officer James was severely injured, I believe, and I am still unsure onto the specifics, but ended up back at the tunnel. Upon learning this, I borrowed a car from the station I was at and went to assist. Unfortunately, I believe that by the time I arrived, Officer James was in such critical condition that I was unable to render sufficient aid. And then, in subsequently attempting to remove myself from the situation where I was again under attack from an unknown source, I was shot and subsequently knocked out, and beyond that, I have the vaguest of recollection.
Then I guess whatever happened after that is up to me because I'm the one who grabbed you off that forsaken area.
What was the scene like after you arrived?
Uh, honestly, I didn't go all the way up. Like, they found Officer Parker here, wandering down the road, obviously concussed, his arm broken, and his leg definitely broken. His left arm was tingling, I believe. I helped him get into the car. I took him to the county medical, and well, that's where we are now, I guess.
And does your department have anything on this so-called killer?
We are.
As of
I'll let you finish.
As of right now, I believe the investigation is in the hands of the federal government, of which department I am unsure. I believe there's a member of our criminal investigative unit that is coordinating with them to ensure evidence is available. But the department, as of right now, is not taking any specific stance.
All right. And I have one last question. Did you know the killer personally? Did you ever come in close contact with the killer?
As I stated previously, the department, myself, have not identified an individual, and at this point, we are no longer investigating. We are leaving that to the federal government.
If there are
All right.
any follow-up questions, I can probably answer them.
Okay. Well, I think we're done here. Thank you, Mr. Parker, and thank you, officer, for letting us interview you today. I really appreciate it. Please, if you ever find any more information on this situation,
Oh
please
man.
call up Weasel News. We'd love to report on it. And thank you again.
If you have further questions, I believe we have a public information officer at each substation who you could get in contact with, and they can help you figure out who you need to talk to and ensure that information is
Can all of you
provided
walk out in slow motion,
securely.
please?
All right. Well, thank you,
I'll
officer.
get you.
I think we're all set here.